My name is John Cunningham with C2 Freight Resources. We are a Hub Zone certified logistics company here in Houston, Alabama. We've been in business for over 20 years, working with the Department of Defense and the federal government, among many other customers. C2 is committed to truckload shipments along with less than truckload shipments across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Our high level of service is what keeps our customers coming back year after year. Our industry-leading transportation management software, along with our tracking software, allow our customers to know where their shipments are at any time, any day. In closing, C2 Freight looks forward to earning your trust and business through actions day in and day out. We know if given the opportunity, you'll be pleased with our service and communication.
Richmar Florist makes every day a special day, from weddings and large events to that little something for any occasion. Richmar Florist has the perfect floral expression, and they're open online 24/7 at richmarflorist.com. Everywhere, every day. Richmar's 2 retail locations offer a fantastic selection of floral creations, gifts, and home decor. Book your free consultation in our showroom for your special event needs, and visit us online at richmarflorist.com today.
Hello and welcome to the winding hills here at Mid-Ohio Sportscar Course. My name is Rishav Costa, joined by David Westergreen, and welcome to the safe antifreeze and coolant Mid-Ohio Challenge round number 1, race number 1 of the 2021 Elite Racing League's JoinAPS Cup Series Chase. We're watching qualifying here as these guys get underway, and straight into this chase, we've got a massive challenge right there in the name. Here at Mid-Ohio, a natural terrain road course, lots of undulation, lots of ups and downs here. These cars are going to get very late underneath our drivers, and of course, you know, the wild card that is a road course. David, what can we expect tonight from these drivers, and what is this 50-lap race gonna look like?
Oh, man, I think I know about as much as you do there, and about as much as those at home. This is a kind of a mystery when it comes to road course racing. We don't get to run, NASCAR Cup cars on this road course specifically. The Xfinity Series makes its name here, but this is going to be a tough track for these guys. I've run I think just one race on Mid-Ohio, and the course is very challenging, very technical. Not a whole lot of places to pass. You'll be looking where Tate Lytle is driving right now as maybe one of those places, the carousel, entering kind of this final corner before you hit the start-finish line. And then we'll, kind of ride with Tate through here. This turn 1, you're not going to want to be side-by-side through here. I think we're going to see a lot of guys overshooting that today. But then this turn right here is turn 2, the keyhole. That'll be the place, I think, where we see the most passing and most of these guys out-braking, entering this kind of basically a long sweeping paperclip corner and into a really long back straightaway.
Yeah, it is going to be very interesting. You've got those 2 straightaways heading in and out of the keyhole here. I think, we were here a couple of weeks ago in the IndyCar series on the Elite Racing Network, and those were definitely areas where you'd expect to see overtakes. We'd probably see these Cup cars maybe be a little bit more comfortable making moves in different places just with the low downforce nature and the fact that I think a lot of drivers will be making mistakes tonight. But how about this guy, Ryan Gavel, coming in here with a pretty strong regular season. Last time we had a natural terrain road course, Road America last season, or actually it was Watkins Glen earlier this season, but we even go back to the Chase last season, Road America. Ryan Gavel in contention to win all night long, ultimately lost out just at the very end to Anders Krohn, who wasn't in the championship. But this guy must be someone that everyone's looking at as, hey, he's got a very real chance of getting the job done here.
Yeah, I think he's one of the guys to watch out for. He's obviously already 4th in qualifying on speed so far. We're going to have several guys, I think, that are going to be in contention for this one. And I think number 1, and you just switched to him, is this guy right here, Colin Fern, one of our chasers. He's the winner at Watkins Glen, so he's the only driver who's won on a road course this year. And then here's our other guy, David Tooker, who maybe had the best car at Watkins Glen before being taken out in an unfortunate incident there. And I would be on the lookout for David Tooker to make some moves tonight. He's hungry. He got a gift, right? He was out last week based on the penalty at the end of the race. He was out. He got a gift from his teammate Ethan Burrell, pulling his name from the chase. And so David Tooker's got I believe, on a mission to try to win this race today, because he's going to have one of the 2 or 3 fastest cars out there.
Yeah, David Tooker, especially on these really twisty type road courses, expect him to be strongest. We go to Rovals, and that kind of typically evens out the playing field a little bit, but on these really just traditional road courses here, David Tooker, one of the strongest drivers we've got here. But, I mean, Colin Fern really picking up where he left off, isn't he? Won Watkins Glen in pretty dominant fashion earlier this season, and looks like he's qualifying in position to be in a similar spot here. Right now sits 4/10 clear of David Tooker, who's just lining up for his first flying lap here of this second run.
Yeah, this might even be a pole run for David Tooker. I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Tooker won the pole in our only other race at Watkins Glen. And in fact, I'll go back and look at that up while we're here.
You would actually be incorrect. His only pole position this season is Las Vegas. Is that right? No.
Tooker, are you sure? I think it is Watkins Glen. I think he did win the pole one.
Excuse me there. That was the that's the Xfinity series there.
Yeah, I knew it. Haha. Yeah, but Tooker definitely the guy who can win the pole here. And I think the big news for me is that our maybe favorite at road course racing, and the guy who won the last road course in our home place beer Xfinity series that's our SMRI beer Xfinity series. SMRI Xfinity series was R.C. Anderson, and he is not here today. So I think the door is wide open for somebody, especially like David Tooker, to go out and win a race and get the advancement to the next round. And once Tooker makes it in, he can relax through the race like Talladega.
And how about Tyler Fode? I mean, he's been strong all season. He's strong at every track we go to. Realistically, and actually I say he's been strong all season. He's really come on late, actually. Found a lot of pace towards the end, found some luck. I think that he might have been missing earlier on in the season. Obviously won his way into the chase, but Tyler Fode's strong at every track we go to, as David Tooker does set the fastest lap time, puts that 19 car on pole. But Tyler Fode, I mean, impressive right now, P3 on the road course. He's generally strong at most racetracks we visit. Could he be a threat for this win? It certainly seems like he might be.
Tyler Fode's just a guy who's very fast everywhere we go. I think right now the thing that Tyler Fode's carrying is that momentum from the Xfinity Series. He has 4 wins, 12 top 10s, and 12 races counted. I think there's been 13 races, and he's been no worse than 6th in any of them. He has an average finish of like 2.4 on our Monday series. He is just going absolutely berserk in that series, and I think it's starting to carry over into his performance on the Wednesday side, where he's started to really ramp it up. The last, I think, like 3 or 4 races, with the exception, of course, of Daytona, Fode went 1st, 3rd, 3rd, 6th in 4 of his last 5 races. So caught up in a wreck 2 weeks ago at Daytona, but look out for Tyler Fode to get back into that top 5 trend.
I mean, you want to close qualifying right there. David Tooker over Colin Fern by some measurement that we can't even measure here on these screens here. 126.784, 126.784. That is your fight right there for the front row, for the pole position. And these guys quite some ways ahead of 3rd place Tyler Fode. In turn, quite some distance over Ryan Gavel. Tate Lytle, Matthew Weeks, both looking strong for Pro Edge Racing, while Jared Rexing and Chad Frankenfield, both chasers, rounding out that top 8. All chasers running here in the top 8. And Jeff Green, our first non-chaser there, starting in the 10th position.
Did Tate Lytle not qualify in the top 10? I guess maybe he didn't.
Tate Lytle
chaser this
did,
year,
I believe.
No, yeah, Tate Lytle's not a chaser, so he'd be the only top 10 guy not in the chase. But a good run for Kendall Noah Player. I know he's not a fan of road courses. And Caleb Thompson also. Josh Adams is our points leader, and he's not excited about this race. Here's the 50 car. That's Zach T. Evans this week. That's not R.C. Anderson. I believe the back of the car says not RC, so we'll have to get a shot of that if we can.
Absolutely. We'll try and get some pictures of that car as they get ready. But here we go. Cars are ready, and what you'll notice actually for those keen-eyed viewers, we'll see that the cars are not lined up on the main straightaway. That means we'll actually be getting underway fairly quickly here. They're going to have to head just through the carousel effectively, and then we'll hit the green flag. Just shortens out that pace lap. Helps them out a little bit with fuel numbers, things like that. So they'll grid up back here in the S's and then and be ready to go very, very shortly.
Yep, it's a very quick start on these road courses. I kind of like that. You get going, you just are immediately ready to start. On these road courses that are not maybe designed for NASCAR cars, because I know that Watkins Glen, they make you drive all the way around the track. Here, they'll at least allow you to just go ahead and get started pretty much instantly.
Yeah,
Montreal does that too.
Absolutely, yeah, and they'll start to roll here. One big thing we'll have to keep an eye out on is tire wear. We saw in qualifying guys taking it extremely slow on their out laps when really setting up for a qualifying lap. So, we'll have to see just what tire wear looks like for these guys and how quickly those tires fall off. That obviously helps here, not having to run that pace lap. But, I mean, we're going to get straight into it here as the pace car is already off, and David Tooker gets going by the looks of it, and there he goes. Well clear of Colin Fern for the lead, and into turn one, he's uncontended there, and it's going to be Tyler Fode sliding into third position over Ryan Gavel.
Got to watch out for people overshooting that first corner. It's real easy to do. Everyone makes it through okay through the first time, and now our first time through the keyhole here in turn two. David Tooker, Colin Fern, Tyler Fode, they're looking pretty clean and green here early on. Not a whole lot of side-by-side action throughout the field.
Yeah, we got a couple of guys slow off the line here. Michael Goodman and Zach Evans there weren't quite able to get underway here, but back up front, David Tooker over Colin Fern here, to Fern not letting Tooker really run away with it early on here in this event. We'll see, though, who has the better long-run pace here, as both of them, like we saw there, evenly matched on the single lap. Just Colin Fern had to do a better job at saving his tires. Can David Tooker run faster lap times than Fern? We'll have to see. So far, everybody's still on the racetrack according to the tracker. It doesn't look like any real mistakes or any issues for any drivers so far as we head into the S's.
Do we have a competition caution at some point here coming up? I want to say that there is one pretty shortly into the race.
That would be a great question that I actually do not know the answer to. It'll be around 8 laps into the race is what I believe will be our competition caution.
So, yeah, Chad likes to kind of slide those competition cautions in the plane at the race where the drivers will have, spinner in the back, Gerald Campbell around. Gerald bounces it off the tires. That's not a great start for one of our chase drivers.
Yeah, not what Gerald Campbell needed there. We knew he wasn't super comfortable heading over to the road course, and that definitely doesn't help his chances. Happens early on in the event, and he can certainly recover from it, but right now Gerald Campbell slips all the way down to 23rd from the 8th position that he was running in before.
Track position is everything at these road courses. You can already tell how easy it is to lose spots, but it's very difficult to gain them up as we catch the battle for 5th between Matthew Weeks and Chad Frankenfield. And Weeks has been pretty strong early on. He was good in practice. He's been good so far in the race. He was not excited about this road course, but my pick for the championship has been, kind of surprising himself even today at the road course at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, certainly right now looking very good for Matthew Weeks. Tate Lytle gets very wide and just keeps it off the grass. Great job there by the 56 car just to keep that car on the racetrack here. Again, minimizing your mistakes is going to put you in a very, very good position at these road courses. You don't necessarily have to be the fastest guy over the course of a lap or even over the course of a stint, as long as you just keep the car on the racetrack while many others will fall off. That should get the job done. As you see there, Tate Lytle sliding through the final corner as Ryan Gavel sets the fastest lap time of the day. And we've got what could be turning into a bit of a four-way battle here for the lead as this top 4 is kind of gapped to your 5th place guy, Matthew Weeks.
You got to wonder how much these guys up front are trying to save their tires, especially David Tooker, Colin Fern. They're out front. They're chasers. They know they've got to take it easy, got to make it to that competition caution. So I think those guys are maybe even not pushing as hard as they otherwise would. I've seen David Tooker driving this car completely sideways at these road courses from time to time, exiting the corner. And when Tooker's doing that, he's pushing, he's really going for it. Right now he's very, very smooth, really locked it down and has kept everyone in check early on. He's just not letting Colin Fern get to his back bumper.
Yeah, I think for David Tooker, he can afford to do this right now because he controls the pace of this race. He can really control what Colin Fern can and can't do behind him. That's something I love about these types of racetracks is really as the leader, you have a ton of control over the pace of the race, how drivers are going to go through corners, what speed they can carry through corners. you really dictate a lot of that. You have a lot of power as the leader, and David Tooker right now utilizing that. If he wants to save his tires, looks like he's doing a great job right now, not sliding those rears and not giving any chances for the 86 to get by.
Very, very smooth from David Tooker. And for a guy who was out in the playoffs the last time we were, watching a race, he's, in here with a chance to win a championship now. And I think taking it as seriously and as calmly as he can, as we do have a battle for fifth now. Got Frankenfield on by Matthew Weeks. Weeks not really pushing the issue here.
Yeah, we saw just a lap ago Weeks going past Chad Frankenfield, and now Frankenfield passes the 11 car back. We'll go through the keyhole and see how this 11 car gets off the corner now. But Chad Frankenfield actually seems to do a nice job there off the corner, and Weeks looks like he might be in a little bit of trouble. Losing time to Tate Lytle, his teammate, down this back straightaway. You can get a pretty significant draft down here and be ready to overtake into turn number 4.
I just noticed how spread out this top 10 has gotten. If Weeks loses a spot to Tate Lytle, it's a long way back to Jared Rexing there in 8th spot, and then even further back to Chad Thornquist in 9th. Our points leader, Josh Adams, has entered the top 10 right behind Thornquist. And Adams sporting some new colors this week with another chaser, Chuck Sweeting, right there behind him. And I think Josh Clark is nope, he's not the worst. We got a car off, and that's another one of our chasers, Johnny Thomas. Exited the course there through the S's. Difficult place on the track for sure. You have to be going really slow through there, and Johnny overcooked it, and he is now the second worst running of our chase driver. Actually, he's the third worst because Josh Robin is down at 23rd.
Yeah, Josh Robin not having a great start to this event, but Gerald Campbell and Johnny Thomas, two chasers, two guys who are fighting it out for the regular season championship, both having troubles early on here, now running 16th and 17th. While many of their competitors are running up inside the top 10, that's not what they want to see. As we talked about it in our pre-chase show, is the points are extremely close. The only person who's slightly comfortable is Josh Adams.
And Josh Adams isn't even that comfortable. It's going to at Talladega, which admittedly is a great Josh Adams style track. He could lose all 14 of his points right there in that one race. So Adams really needs to be consistent and lock up some good finishes. He does have a little bit more leeway than everyone else, but it really is. It's 5 points for Matthew Weeks in second in points, all the way back to Chuck Sweeting in 11th in points. So these guys are really looking to separate themselves, especially these 4 up front right now. As Colin Fern kind of hunts down David Tooker, you got to grab every point you can, and when you can get a point for leading a lap like these guys can do, Colin Fern's probably going to push the issue a little bit here before the caution to try to get that lap lead and that extra bonus point. You can see it. He's sliding the tires now on the 86 car, maybe ramping it up a little bit to try to get around David Tooker.
Yeah, Colin Fern, we know him to be aggressive. For both Fern and David Tooker, I think these are great opportunities here. As Fern makes a bit of a dive there in the carousel, you talked about it might be an overtaking position, but Tooker takes away that line and protects that lead. But for David Tooker, like you mentioned, he was out of the championship. Now he's back in it. Getting the win here would advance him on into the next round, and that's a huge bonus for him to have these next 2 weeks off. Same thing for Colin Fern. We talked about just how fast Colin Fern can be, but can sometimes be inconsistent. If he wins here, doesn't have to worry about those next 2 weeks. So, big implications here for either of these two guys, and both of them are guys that I know I personally kind of wrote off a little bit in terms of this championship, and both of them putting in great performances here early on at Mid-Ohio.
I think you and I each are also split on their ability to advance to the next round in our picks. I think I had Tooker advancing and not Fern, and you had Fern advancing and not Tooker.
I believe you may be correct, yep.
So, I think we have we've even have split decision on whether or not these two can make it to the next round, but here they are dominating the first race of the playoffs.
Yeah, they're doing a really great job here. Running lap 6 of 50, so just a couple more laps here to go before we get to that competition caution. You can definitely tell Colin Fern really wants to get by this 19 car, and you see David Tooker starting to slide the rear end just a little bit. We'll kind of get an idea as to what tire wear is going to look like on these cars and how quickly they lose those rear ends, because you're throwing a lot of power through those rear axles. And these cars really don't want to make these corners. Colin Fern makes contact with the rear of the 19 car, almost sends him around, and Tyler Fody is going to take advantage as Colin Fern now loses time through the final corner.
I can tell you right now, man, and we know how Colin Fern drives and how he's kind of made some enemies throughout his time in the Elite Racing League, and the JoinAPS Cup Series has certainly not really particularly liked seeing that 86 car behind them, and bouncing off of someone on lap number 7 just really isn't going to be doing him any favors in that regard.
Yeah, you can see him diving that nose in, and every chance he possibly gets, just trying to offset that number 19 car. I don't think he would have gotten him in the carousel either. Did decide to put the bumper just a little bit to that 19 of David Tooker, but Tooker did a great job of hanging on to that car right now. And also, Fern did a good job at holding on to that second position as Tyler Fode gained some big momentum trying to get past. But you can see here, Colin Fern really just trying to make shallow entries to a lot of these corners, just try and steal away that inside line, take away that apex from David Tooker. He's just trying to get his nose in there. The problem is if he gets a little bit too deep in there, in a situation like we saw in that past lap where you spin David Tooker out, potentially cause a caution and send yourself to the back of the pack.
I'm noticing that David Tooker's just more stable right now. Colin Fern's car wiggling around a considerable amount, getting hard on the binders and really driving very hard right now. I wonder if he knows that caution is coming up soon and he's going extra hard. Tooker's been taking this outside line through the carousel, and I don't know if it's maybe the right way to go, but he's going to take it over again from Fern. Holds off the 86 once again. David Tooker, in my opinion, driving a bit of a conservative race, as it were, but it's working for him for now. He's able to hold off the 86 and run his own line.
Yeah, we'll have to see. David Tooker leaving that inside lane open here, and he's going to do it again here in the keyhole, but he protects late in the braking zone.
Overdrove it.
Broken himself there. He's going to hang on the outside. Tooker, can he get the run off the corner, though, heading now into the kink and then into turn number 4. Tooker ahead, and he's going to clear the 86.
This is the most dangerous driving in the lead that I've seen in quite a while. Tooker doing everything he can to hold off the 86 car, not let him get out in front, maybe worried that he can't maybe run him back down. The way Tooker is driving it, he's driving very defensively. It is inviting the bumper from Colin Fern, I will say that. The first time maybe not, a problem, but now you're blocking, now you're trying to hold someone back. So that kind of invites the bumper.
So I think it's a different beast here on these road courses, because what I'm seeing from David Tooker is
Fern overdrove that corner. Fode's going to get after him here.
Not quite able to get to the back of the 86 car here as they're coming up to this competition caution at the end of lap 8. But what I'm noticing with David Tooker, at least, is he's sacrificing the entry to his corner. He's slowing down the entry, but that makes it so that he can get on the power and be really, really strong off the corner. We see that time and time again here. He gives Colin Fern that chance, but David Tooker, with the line he takes, the way he drives the corner, he's unbeatable off the corner right now, and that's what's maintained that lead for him. We saw that in the final corner last lap. We saw that coming out of the keyhole when he was forced on the outside. He sacrifices that entry to really get a strong exit, and that's working for him right now. The question is, though, is like we saw there, he leaves that inside open on the entry to the corner. That very easily allows Colin Fern to kind of dive it in there and really, really just kind of push the 19 car out of the way. That doesn't stop him from doing that. They are still green right now. We're waiting for this competition to caution to come out. But, it is two very different driving styles. But right now it's working for David Tooker to defend that lead.
For what it's worth, Ryan Gavel said something about splitting in half 15 and 15. I'm wondering if we don't happen to be going up to, lap 15 or so before the caution. It might be now, but I'm not entirely sure. I think we are past 10 drivers across the line here, so I think we're a couple laps away from that competition caution, and it'll be a surprise for everyone when it comes out.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly what lap we're going to have the competition caution here. Not sure that information, fortunately, wasn't relayed to us prior to this broadcast, but still great racing going on for this lead, and certainly both David Tooker and Colin Fern must know that competition caution is coming up pretty soon. They're running, Fern certainly running pretty aggressively here, trying to get by the 19, and the 19 doing a stout defensive job of the lead, and they're going to cross to finish lap number 9 here. David Tooker has led every lap so far.
He's certainly not led every single lap without some controversy and without having some difficult struggles here. That 86 car is really pressuring him a lot, and the thing I'm noticing back there is that Chad Frankenfield has run down Ryan Gavel and is very close to his back bumper. That 15 car is putting in some really competitive lap times, and if he gets any track position, he might have an opportunity to pull up and move past some of these guys.
Yeah, Chad Frankenfield, I mean, a couple years ago, I think if you asked, he'd be the road course guy here in the Elite Racing Leagues. The competition has just become so exceptional, as we're seeing a little bit of blinking from that 15, but the competition has become so strong and great across the board here that, Chad right now sitting in P5, but looking very strong, like you said, could make the move on Ryan Gavel, get into the 4th position, as Gavel seems to be struggling a little bit as we continue through this tire run. He had solid pace there early on and was hanging on to that top group battle, but since then has fallen off the rear of Tyler Fody and Colin Fern and David Tucker.
Yep, those three are still right under a blanket, and I can't help but wonder if Chad maybe has something for him. We think back to our only other road course race this season, Watkins Glen, where David Tucker and Chad Frankenfield actually made contact entering turn 1, and it ended up causing a really big crash. And two guys not happy with each other after the race due to, of course, the fact that those guys are the fastest road course guys out here, and they're, pushing extra hard knowing that this is one of their opportunities to win it. Turns out it was lap 10. Competition caution comes out, and David Tucker will take it here, and there it is. So almost took, I believe that's Josh Personnette and Zach Evans, and got them a lap down. Those guys are going to be glad to glad to see that competition caution. And I know you tried to grab it there, but
yeah, I'm going to see if we can get
not
there.
RC.
We're riding the nose of Josh Personnette. I want to see if we can get close to the 50 car of Zach Evans. Driving the number 50 Ford Mustang here. If Josh Personnette gets just a little bit closer, we'll see that rear bumper that just says warning, not RC. Just letting everybody know that Ford Mustang, while it has the same number, has a similar livery to the one of RC Anderson, the guy who is fairly unbeatable when it comes to these road courses, and just in general here in this Cup Series. RC is busy prepping for an Indy 500 run. Best of luck to him, of course, but means that he's going to have to take some time off from the Elite Racing Leagues. He will not be contending for a championship here today.
Yeah, it's definitely a disappointment. I think RC was going to be the runaway favorite for this race, and then he's very good at some of these upcoming tracks as well. I think up at New Hampshire, I think RC would have been, or he might even be able to run that race, and if he is, he may be one of the preemptive favorites to win that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to keep an eye out, because whenever RC shows back up in the series, he's always a threat to win. Puts in some exceptional qualifying times, things like that, and then just has really found his footing on the ovals as well this season. He used to be a road course guy. Now he's an everywhere guy. If RC Anderson is in the race, you've certainly got to be scared that there's a very good chance you're not going to be winning that race, even if you are, one of the best out there. RC Anderson always going to be a factor. The pace car picks up the field here. They're going to lap around one time here, and I suspect we're going to see most of these guys down pit road.
Yep, I think everybody's going to come for fresh tires, and then we're going to have a full long green run to the end. It'll be about 35 laps, so about 16, 17 laps per set. Some guys might try short pitting. You could do 2 stops. There could be a number of different strategies through this final run, but David Tucker has led them all through this first stint, hitting that competition caution. I believe he'll get 12 laps to his credit, and we'll have to see if anybody can get him on pit road.
Yeah, we'll see a nice, fairly long time here, pacing around here. They're going to pick up the rest of the field. So just going to wait for all that to kind of work their way around, and they'll get back to pit road. So we'll get pit stops fairly soon. But let's talk about the title sponsor for today's event, Safe Antifreeze and Coolant. Their service pack flush tablet contains 20 coolant cleaning tablets per pouch. And each resealable pouch contains treatment for 12 liters or 3.2 U.S. gallons. Clean while you drive. Non-hazardous, non-toxic, biodegradable, effervescent dissolving cleaning tablets. They're pH balanced, and they safely remove corrosion and scale from the entire coolant system surfaces, including the radiator and heater cores. Safe Coolant cleaning flush tablets are pH balanced for safe, fast, effective use. Check out Safe Antifreeze and Coolant at the Elite Racing Leagues. There's a link to them on our Twitter page. Make sure you guys check them out. A great sponsor of both the Elite Racing Network and BYRD Racing, who are sponsoring this event. The cars are on pit road here, David. Tucker leads them down. He'll have pit stall number 1. This is where we could potentially see some shakeups in the running order.
You have to hit your marks. You have to be good on pit road to win this race and to win any of these races, but especially this one today. As David Tooker comes to a stop, did he overshoot his box? Yeah, I guess not. We have a bad angle on this. Those signs look like they are not in front of the cars.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a little bit unclear there. We can see just
There
off
it
the pit
is.
road as David Tooker does get in line there, and ooh, that is
man, that was close.
close through the cone. We'll see. We'll see what the call is and who's allowed to get it, and it is David Tooker just by a nose, having that first pit box right there. That's the advantage that it gets you. Colin Fern had a much faster pit stop, I think we could tell. David Tooker, though, we can actually see pit box time if we head over. David Tooker spent 14.1 on pit road, and that was actually 14.1 for Colin Fern, just better maybe off of his box, and yeah.
Colin gassed it up coming off pit road. He really got out of there, and I can't help but wonder if there was maybe close to a speeding penalty, but he didn't have very far to go. So I envision there wasn't. He just got all the way to the limit so quickly that David Tooker was trying to maybe spinning his tires a little bit and almost lost the lead off pit road. But with that, he will retain the lead, and that may be all it takes. It looks like maybe if there's any changes in the top 10, it's that Chad Frankenfield got by Ryan Gavel for 4th spot. So move Gavel back to 5th, and then Chuck Sweeting is up into 9th. Josh Adams now dropping outside the top 10 after pit stops.
Yes, sir. Running lap 13 of 50 right now. The lights are still on that pace car, so we're going to run around for another lap here. Just getting ready to head back to green flag racing. Like you said, it's going to be a long green flag run here. We're probably going to see guys with one stop between now and the end of the race, assuming no cautions. And a reminder that road courses on iRacing, typically we don't see too many cautions here unless we've got a massive crash blocking the track. So, you know, they're not impossible. There's certainly things that you need to factor into your strategy, but also much less likely than if we're at an oval where cautions are automatically generated by iRacing when there is any kind of incident, really.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if we don't get maybe a pile up here. You know, this is right when that Watkins Glen race we talk about absolutely went crazy. These guys just decided the race was almost over and piled them up 2 or 3 times to track blocking level incidents where we had some cautions. I hope we don't have that here today. We'll wad up some chasers and likely be pretty detrimental for a number of our playoff drivers, especially the guys who are kind of locked up in the back of the field, like Josh Robin, like Johnny Thomas, Gerald Campbell, all back in the mid-teens, having a difficult start to this race. Their best friend right now, I think, would be to get this thing green and have some of these guys up front pushing each other a little bit after a couple of laps where there wouldn't be any track blocking incidents.
Absolutely, yeah. They just need laps underneath their belt, and yeah, you're not going to pass guys under cautions, but you can certainly pass them under green flag laps here. We'll see. I mean, we saw just how aggressive that battle was for the lead, and you know, you could certainly expect, I think, you know, Colin Fern may be more willing to use the bumper later on in this race than just right now. Again, early on, that was before even the competition caution here. Long way to go before we get the checkered flag. So Fern possibly thinking about places where he can get David Tooker, and Tooker is vulnerable. Don't get us wrong. You know, he's maintained the lead. He's done a good job, but I mean, he's only in the lead right now because I think Colin Fern did not take him out. We know Colin Fern is very willing to stick his nose in there and even give you a little bit of push if if you're in his way. So, you know, certainly don't count out the 86 car until it comes to the last lap, the last possible chance for Colin Fern to stick his nose in there on David Tooker.
I'm wondering how much Tooker may have been holding up or even holding back even amongst these guys. You know, it's possible Tooker has just been driving it a little bit conservatively and trying to, you know, plan out these runs, kind of work that race backwards from the end. You know, you can't make it to the end if you don't get to lap 15 and vice versa. So I wonder if Tooker maybe steps it up a little bit here and tries to pull away from Colin Fern, and if he even can, you know, maybe Colin Fern was being held up that whole time, and maybe if Colin Fern gets that run, he'll actually be able to pull away from David Tooker.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to see exactly how this pans out, but the field is released. David Tooker underway back to flag racing into turn 1. Tooker with a reasonable lead here. Once again, doesn't allow Fern to really pounce on him here. And we got some guys side by side there down through turn 1. Looks like everybody, though, stays on the racetrack, and we're good to go here. Tooker over Fern, over Fody, over Frankenfield.
Certainly a more aggressive restart by the entire field to try to stay together there. That they know that there's no caution to bail you out this time. You've got to go. You got to go now. Get as much as you can on this restart, and then try to get to that pit stop. For now, though, it's really kind of single filed out everyone, and that's kind of the nature of Mid-Ohio. Everyone's going to be pretty single filed because that draft on those long straightaways is so powerful.
Yeah, the draft is so powerful, and also through these S's, I mean, there's just simply no place to really make a move. It's so twisty. You know, you've got so much elevation change. There's realistically just a single line here for most of these cars. You're just banking on a guy in front of you making a mistake to get by him. Which is obviously, you know, that can happen quite a bit, especially in these cars, which I think a lot of these guys can be accident prone in these cars at these types of racetracks. But, you know, ultimately, this track isn't really designed for a ton of overtaking. We've seen that in the IndyCar series. We're possibly going to see it here tonight. But what it does allow for is some very aggressive driving because guys have to push as hard as they possibly can to keep their cars on the track and also put down good lap times. To prevent guys from getting past them.
You can see it there when Colin Fern goes barreling into turn 1 to try to get every single bit he can. That's certainly one who's driving it really hard right now, and with no caution guaranteed there at lap 15, I can't help but wonder, you know, as I usually do, is Colin Fern overdriving that thing too early in this run? You know, I haven't seen Fody's car step out. I haven't seen Tooker's car step out. We know Chad's car got better as the run went along last time. You know, is Fern pushing too hard here? Is he going to end up losing out in the long run to these guys who are driving very conservatively?
Yeah, I mean, we'll absolutely have to see exactly how that kind of pans out for Colin Fern. He seemed to maintain that pace reasonably over the course of that 10-lap run to the competition caution. And as we have some brake smoke in the distance, nobody spun around though. But yeah, I mean, he held the pace pretty well and was able to stay on the back of David Tooker there. Again, we don't know how much David Tooker was pushing on that first run, if he was struggling to hang on to the lead or if he was just kind of keeping everybody back, holding everybody back. So there's still a lot of questions to be answered here. Colin Fern, though, aggressive, but seems to be able to maintain that pace, I think, a little bit over the course of the run, despite the fact that he burns through those rear tires fairly quickly.
I think we did miss an incident there. Corey Abbott dropped from about 15th all the way to the back. So I think the 7 car may have befallen an issue.
Lead out front, still David Tooker over Colin Fern. A little bit further back, we got Tate Lytle defending from Chad Thernquist. Number 92 car trying to work his way back into the top 7 now. Thernquist having a pretty good run here. It's been an up and down season, I think, for this 92 car. Though right now seems to be enjoying himself on this road course. Just makes some mistakes every now and then, so he's going to be hoping that it's a clean race for him. Get the laps in, get the reps in, and be around to learn a lot. I think, and be ready for next season.
You know, I was thinking that just when you went to say it, is that I ran behind Thernquist a little bit at the Daytona road course race on Monday night. Thernquist was faster than me, let him go. He drove away from me, but he kept on coming back to me. He kept on making really big mistakes, like missing some corners and stuff. He looks a lot more smooth today, a lot more under control. 92 car placed itself nicely in the top 10 pretty strongly by the looks of it there, like over 3 seconds ahead of Chuck Sweeting in 10th. So a good run so far for Thernquist. He's certainly up here racing with the guys he belongs with.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of potential with Chad Thernquist in that 92 car. Again, like I said, has had a pretty rough season, but is looking to bounce back and looks very strong here early on at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, and we've much maligned him for some past incidents, that he was involved in. But we give second chances where they're earned and due and needed, and they were certainly needed today. And he's certainly taking advantage of those because he's been really, really strong ever since we kind of got onto him about that race back at Charlotte.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to seeing the progress there, seeing how he fares over the course of the race. Look out for that 92 car right now running in the 8th position. And ahead of this kind of secondary pack almost. You've got Matthew Weeks, who's dropped off quite some ways from Ryan Gavel, but Gavel as well, not really able to hang on to this lead pack. You see here 2 seconds behind Chad Frankenfield, and Frankenfield about a second behind Tyler Fody. Really, up front, it is now just a 2-man show of David Tooker and Colin Fern. Possibly these 2 are the only guys really pushing it right now. Fody maybe holding back a little bit, but there's something different with that 40 car, because he was right on the tail of this battle all throughout that first stint before the competition caution. Right now, he's falling back.
Yeah, I think Tyler Fody might be just saving his equipment, saving his stuff. He knows the race is far from over, and he was, seeing if he could maybe push it with those guys on that run where he knew the tires were going to come off the car earlier. Now he's got to, manage them all the way to the point at which they pit. Ooh, man, 86 car, big sideways, exiting turn 1. That may throw him out of the rhythm there for a good chunk of the next couple of laps, trying to get these tires cooled down. You can see him there getting gapped by Tooker a little bit. Colin Fern, pretty sizable slide there, and how warm are those rear tires? Will he be able to exit those corners as effectively as he was before?
Yeah, we'll have to take a look here. Lost a lot of time here. He's going to have to kind of work that all back up here, and that means this top 5, top 6 is extremely spread out as we head a little bit further down through the field. And right now, we're kind of in a portion of the race, I feel, where it is pretty spread out. There isn't a ton of action. We've got a little bit of a battle going on here for the 8th position, a little bit of a battle further up for the 6th position between teammates at Pro Edge Racing. But generally, we've got some reasonable spread throughout the field right now. Guys are settling into a rhythm, settling into, their runs, getting the repetitions in, so that they're ready to make it to that pit stop whenever that is for, finish this stint and then be ready to go for it at the end, I think.
This is a very long race, 50 laps at a road course. This is well over halfway in what would be a normal Xfinity race on this track, and these guys are going to have to really, remain focused and remain mentally strong throughout the entirety of the race. One mistake, especially right here, exiting this corner, can send you hard into that inside wall, and that'll end your day real quick. So will overshooting this first corner. A lot of these are very dangerous corners, very easy to lose your car, very quickly end up in the sand, end up in the tires. And I look back there, I saw a little pass being made off of the carousel, and Gerald Campbell has worked his way back into the top 10. A really impressive comeback for someone we did see spun out in the tires early in this race.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald Campbell right now doing a good job. A guy who's pretty strong at road courses in general. We don't talk about him as, one of those road course specialists, the guy you expect to see running up front all the time, but a fairly stout competitor on these road courses, has done some driving in real life, is familiar with how to get the job done here, and you see, like you said, run back up into the top 10, and just generally kind of running his own race.
Chuck Sweeting sideways. Did he go around? No, he didn't. What a save by Chuck. I thought he was going to lose it there. Super sideways through the S's. 75 car might be falling off just a little bit for him.
Yeah, definitely seems to be, Chuck Sweeting, you never know. Yeah, but there you see right there. Something I wanted to talk about is, Chad Thornquist around.
Did he collect Gerald Campbell?
He did collect Gerald Campbell. Campbell with big damage to the front tire there, and Thornquist with a heap of damage both to himself and Gerald Campbell. He gets back rolling onto the racetrack, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier there, where Chad Thornquist, with great potential here, lots of speed this driver has, but unfortunately struggles really with consistency, and we'll take a look and see how that all started here for this number 92 car. So here's your replay. Chad Thornquist just kind of misses that apex, gets a little bit wide there, and so easy to lose it right there. Slides it around, tries to hold the brake down. Ooh.
Oh, no.
That's
can't come across the track like that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there. I think I understand his logic, but yeah, unfortunately you can't quite do that there. I think he saw himself sitting on the racing line, wanted to drive off, but at that point Gerald Campbell had already committed to off the racing line to try and get past him. So not great there. And Chad Thornquist right now sitting on pit road. Gerald Campbell still running, but some pretty significant damage, I think, to the front end of that number 31 car.
Yep, lost 9th to Chuck and 10th to Josh Adams in front of him there. So early on, a pretty sizable blow for Gerald Campbell. A couple of incidents that are gonna set him back when it comes to making this next round. It's gonna be tough for Gerald Campbell, and I just didn't like how this round stacked up for him, but that especially was not his fault. Oh, there he goes, all the way. Nope. No, he will go around, and yeah, mistakes compounding for Gerald Campbell now.
And I think he parked it. It is day over for Gerald Campbell. He's decided, nope, that's it, and the car is done. Gerald Campbell is out of this race. Massive chase implications.
Yeah, he knows now he's got to go win one of the next couple of races, does Gerald Campbell. So huge, the first chaser to go down to the chaos that is the road course. And it's Gerald Campbell who will finish, I believe, 26th.
So again, not the finish that the 31 car wanted. Was fighting for the regular season championship. Had so many points and was so consistent there. Does not get the result he wants here tonight. Like you said, then it's going to be Legacy, Texas, I believe, and Talladega are going to be the chances for that 31 car to stay in this championship hunt.
I talk about momentum, but this 26th place finish is going to be Gerald's worst of the year by far. He was finishing kind of in the teens this past couple of races, but had a stretch there where he was in the top 10, 5 out of 6 races. It's difficult for poor Gerald to have that one big mistake mulligan race right here once you hit the playoffs.
Yeah, that's not what we want. Up until this point, Gerald Campbell has not finished outside of the top 20. This will, unfortunately for him, be that first finish outside of the top 20 when it really starts to matter. So, yeah, again, not what Gerald Campbell needed, but the chase continues on, and unfortunately for him, and the battle for this lead continues on as Colin Fern has gotten back to the rear bumper of the number 19 car.
Yeah, and Gerald will be, looking at this race, these races coming up as just got to go win. These guys up here right now are thinking that exact thing, just in reverse. I think they know this is their best chance to win a race in this round. Maybe not for Tyler Fody. He's probably going to be good at Texas next week, but Colin Fern and David Tooker specifically are very, very strong on these road courses. This is their bread and butter. This is the one they've got to perform on, and the playoffs are here. So these two need to be on their best behavior, working as hard as they can to get this victory. And it's been a close battle all day long.
It really has. This has been impressive here. Impressive defensive driving by David Tooker, really, to defend. As we look at last lap times. Last lap, Colin Fern was 0.3 of a second faster than the 19 car of David Tooker, and yet Tooker has been defending very well, just preventing this 86 car from getting past him. So again, big kudos, big shout out to David Tooker for the job that he's doing here, because there's a lot of pace in that 86 car, but he's managing his own race, he's running his own pace, and he's controlling this field as best as he can. And right now that means that Colin Fern cannot do anything about that.
Yeah, the question is, when does Colin Fern get fed up with it and move to 19? And I think it is coming. The question is when, and how well does David Tooker handle that? Will he be able to save it?
Yeah, well, it was a little bit of a slide there through turn 1 for Tooker, but it may be as Tyler Fody gets closer to this battle, because we're seeing here Tooker, his defensive driving has meant that Colin Fern and David Tooker have fallen into the clutches of this 40 car. Fern goes for a move on the outside of the keyhole, not quite going to get it there, but he might have a run down this back straightaway heading into turns 3 and 4. What can he do down here? And is Tyler Fody in this battle as well? He's starting to close this gap in. Chad Brigham working as well.
Yeah, this is the closest Fern has been since that first run, and Colin Fern really within position now to try to make a move on Tooker. It's just a matter of how patient is this 86 car. When does he make the move with the bumper? Because it seems like the way David Tooker's driving, he's just controlling the race, controlling the lanes, running where he wants to, regardless of what Colin Fern does, and daring Colin Fern basically to kind of get in there and bump into him.
Yeah, it is interesting for David Tooker right now, because, like you said, it's very much just a welcome, a welcoming picture there for Colin Fern to say, hey, look, I'm leaving this door open here as I enter the corner. Yes, that's technically, that's still my racing line, and I'm eventually going to have to cut back in, but for Fern, I mean, that's space on the racetrack, and the way we've seen him drive before is if there is a bit of tarmac without a car, and even sometimes with a car on it, he is not afraid to put his car there.
Mm-hmm. Yep, seen it from him all year long, and that's just kind of how we know how these drivers are driving. It's just very bold by David Tooker kind of do his own thing here, and just hope and pray that E6 car doesn't get fed up with it. But Tooker's been smooth, been consistent. I think only one little bobble throughout the most of this race so far, and now pulling away a little bit from the 86 car.
Yeah, doing a good job here now. I think starting to lay down some lap time. Colin Fern now 0.2 of a second on a lap slower on that last lap there. David Tooker now with a nice sizable 6/10 lead, but there you see just down that back straightaway, Colin Fern tries to close it down quite a bit. Maybe outbreaks himself just a little bit there, and may lose that time all again to David Tooker. But Fern really, really strong through these corners, through the kind of medium speed corners. But David Tooker so strong off the slow speed corners, which are the ones that you need to be strong off of if you want to have a chance to overtake.
Right. The way you have to pass on these road courses is hitting those technical sections doesn't particularly matter, and it ends up being where you lose and make the most time is these slow corners. The ability to do what David Tooker's doing, which is backing up the corner, running his own line, and then gassing it up off and gapping those behind him. That's the way you're going to make the most time. That's what David Tooker's really excelling at here. You see him just yard Colin Fern out of that corner of the carousel there. David Tooker putting on a masterclass today so far. We'll see if he can keep it up through pit stops.
Yes, we will.
That was the halfway point as well.
Yeah, so, all right, you said this was a long race. It's not going by too slowly here, 50 minutes or so into this event.
Yeah, it will be long, but, the ability for these guys to run it all in green flag conditions will shorten up the total length, I think, for sure. And we'll get this thing over with here before, maybe before 9 o'clock.
Certainly hope so here tonight. And no, I mean it's been great racing here up front, especially for this lead between Colin Fern and David Tooker. But right now it seems to be advantage Tooker, as you might have guessed that just perfectly right there. As Colin Fern might have burned through his stuff just a little bit too quickly. Really aggressive on the back bumper of that 19 car, but now is starting to fall off just a bit and fall into the clutches of Tyler Fody, who's been kind of sitting back and just watching as this battle's gone on, and maybe just laughing to himself, thinking, man, I've been saving my tires here. I might grab second place.
Yeah, Tyler Fody does that, every time. And I think these two have been working together to try to get that 11 car a little more speed, if I had to guess. Tate and Weeks probably communicating, Tate trying to kind of coach Weeks up and tell him, this is where you're losing time, this is where you need to do. I think otherwise this 56 would have motored on by the 11 car a while back. We know that 56 is very good. He probably should have been in the chase this season, and ended up not being in it due to some other commitments outside of iRacing, some real life stuff. So Tate, joining us back for the chase, always a very courteous racer, and running here in the top 10 with his Pro Edge teammate, right in front of Jared Rexing, who, I think I look back on our show last week, I think we might have underrated this 10 car a little bit.
I feel like this 10 car is frequently underrated, if anything. I mean, so much speed throughout the season. One of those guys who's kind of quick generally everywhere we go, and we're seeing it again here today, P8 right now on this road course, and contending with these guys trying to get up to P6. Yeah, I mean, Rexing just incredibly fast. We've seen some mistakes this season for sure, but I mean, you cannot count out any one of these drivers. I mean, we talked about it during the show. We made our guesses, but they were guesses, right? I mean, they were so out there in terms of what could actually happen because of how close this chase field is. And we talked about it. I think we even spoke with some of the drivers, is that you really can't pick out a Final Four starting this chase and say, oh yeah, those are the guys who are going to be there at the end, because everybody's so close. There's no definitive favorite. That's what this season has really been about. Unlike last season, where we did have some favorites, we did have some guys who were like, all right, you can kind of lock these guys into the championship 4 by round 6 of the regular season. You were like, all right, these guys are good enough to do that. We
have had an overtake for second place.
We have. Great catch there as Tyler Fody made the pass on Colin Fern there. We can head back to the iRace Online replay and actually take a look and see when that took place, because that's going to be an interesting one to see what happened to Colin Fern, how he lost that spot, and what Tyler Fody had to do. It happened a little bit earlier on in the lap, so I apologize for missing that. We were following that little scrap with the Pro Edge Racing Toyotas.
I think the 86 car may be pretty well used up. That car looks very loose throughout a large portion of the track, and there it is, a big wide slide there through the keyhole. Tyler Fode ends up getting that run on him down the long straightaway on the backstretch, and he'll take that spot. And Colin Fern, as long as he battled up there running behind David Tooker, Tooker has now pulled away from him, and it looks like Tooker has essentially won the battle, at least for the time being.
Back to live pictures here then. Colin Fern already 1.6 seconds back from Tyler Fode, so certainly falling back and doesn't have the pace right now. Right now, last lap was a 32.0 for Colin Fern versus David Tooker's 31.1 and Tyler Fode's 30.2, excuse me. So Tyler Fode right now, the guy with the most pace on the racetrack, and we talked about this. This is what you expect to see out of Tyler Fode. As he runs long on these tires, he saves them up, and he has so much more pace than everybody else as the run goes on. We should be coming close to pit stops, though, relatively soon here, as we're coming down to 15 laps into this run and 20 laps to go in this race.
Now, is Johnny Thomas pitted recently? Because he is down in 24th, and that would be a chaser that is one of the ones that's having a bit of a struggle day. And we talked to Johnny there at the end of our show last week, and Johnny is pitted and tried that short stop strategy. He's made it. He's now a lap down, though, so I'm not sure where Johnny is on track, but he is well back, I think, at this point of any of what he wanted from today. It's going to be a tough day for Johnny Thomas to kind of keep back up and keep that points gap that he had entering today.
Yeah, it is going to be tricky. And yeah, Johnny Thomas just off of pit road here, going to try and make it to the end in that 09 car. Right now, just getting off of the back straightaway. So a little ways behind our leaders right now. He's going to have some work to do. But as those guys come down pit road, he should get his position back here and get some track position back. But he's got a long stint ahead of him here. Looking at he's going to have 23 laps or so, 24 maybe, on that set of tires.
Yeah, going to be a tough call for Johnny Thomas, and my hat's off to him for trying a different strategy when you're struggling like that. Maybe that can help you and boost your confidence, change what you're doing.
Ooh, we have the
We
0-1 car.
Oof. Came back on track at the right time there. A split second later, and he would have bounced off someone. Colin Furness hit pit road. The 86 car has had enough on those older tires, and he is coming to get new ones.
So this is where we call this is where we start what's called the undercut here on these types of racetracks, and yeah, this is where Colin Fern utilizes fresh tires. Oh, but a mistake on pit road, overshoots his pit box, and there you go, Fern. That's a lot of time lost there. So he'll have those fresh tires, and David Tooker may have to respond to that. But it's Chad Frankenfield.
Chad Frankenfield is off.
It was off the racetrack, and he's gonna potentially lose the spot. He doesn't lose a spot because he's got a big gap to Ryan Gavel, but Chad Frankenfield with mistakes. A lot of different mistakes going on there. From the top 5 drivers pretty quickly as Colin Fern and Chad Frankenfield both mess up. Right now, Tyler Fode, though, and David Tooker kind of running their own race here, starting to fight with each other. But Colin Fern and Chad Frankenfield become less of a threat now for these guys in terms of strategy because Colin Fern missing that pit box, that kind of automatically takes away that undercut strategy of having fresh tires earlier on in the run and running fast lap times while you got fresh air.
Right, and Fern losing all that time, he'll make that up, but the car will certainly be a little bit slower once these guys get back to him. Fern may actually get the lead out of this strategy in the quick pit, unless Tooker comes in this time by, but I don't envision that he will. I think Tooker's going to push it at least to the halfway point in this stage. I think they need to run 2 more laps to get to totally halfway in the stage, and then these guys will think about coming down for tires. Tyler Fode's really running down, though, but he's not gaining nearly enough to be able to make an overtake, I don't think.
Yeah, he isn't, but Tyler Fode is faster than David Tooker, which is going to be very interesting. And here we go. I mean, he's going to look for it. Tooker defends that inside lane, but Tyler Fode to the outside and later on the brakes, significantly later on the brakes. The question is, can he get it stopped in time for the corner? He does, but he's going to sacrifice that exit that we know David Tooker is so strong at, and the 19 maintains the lead.
A good corner there by David Tooker, once again, just driving very defensively. And we talked about it. This is the playoffs. David Tooker has no incentive to give up that lead, to give any points to any of his competitors, to relax and finish second. You've got to win now, because what if Talladega, what if Texas doesn't go your way? David Tooker knows he can win this race. He has to execute. He's certainly on track for it right now, but one mistake could change all that. It's very, very close between him and Tyler Fode.
Yes, it is here, and it could change all on pit road as well with if these guys decide to take differing strategies. Tyler Fody decides to stay out, or David Tooker stays out with Tyler Fody pitting in. If I'm Fody, I'm possibly thinking about pitting right here if Tooker doesn't get that undercut. We have a car off the racetrack. That's the number 20, I believe, of Shane DeMantova.
Yeah, Shane and Vincent running together. They're the ID Racing cars, not having the best of days, and the two leaders do ignore the pit road. So they will leave it out there one more time around. I think next time by will be the call. They could try to run it a little bit longer, though. I don't know that I would want to give that 86 car more time on track with fresh tires.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. I know on tracks where you go a lap down for pitting, typically you'll see, I know this 40 car especially, likes to stay out until that tank is dry. I suspect he won't want to do the same thing here just because you aren't losing that lap. You're not losing a ton of, track position in terms of coming down pit road, especially with how far ahead these guys are. We'll see how this strategy plays out. It might even favor you to do this halfway or to have done an undercut. We'll see how Colin Fern comes out and what he's looking like. Right now sits 28.6 seconds behind the leader, with right now the pit lane delta time being 32 seconds or so.
Yeah, he's making up a lot of time running 1 minute 28 second laps while these guys are still running 1 minute 31 second laps. So that's 3 seconds a lap that Colin Fern is making up, and I don't know that they'll be able to run him down. Remember, Colin Fern ran this short pit strategy at Watkins Glen, and Tyler Fody and R.C. Anderson got together trying to run him down. They might have run him down, but that contact made it so that nobody was going to run down Colin Fern from this same strategy. So are these guys playing the wrong cards here is kind of my big question. Now, I feel like I would have hit that lap. You got to get the fresh tires on this thing.
Yeah, you definitely need the fresh tire. It's going to be a question of, what are Fern's tires going to look like, though, when these guys come out on off of pit road, and is he going to have any kind of defense for them when they get to him? That's so tough to call with these strategies and how things play out. Generally, the big strategy is react to the guy behind if you think he's the threat. If I was the spotter for the 19 car, for the 40 car, I would have watched Fern make that mistake though on pit road and say, you know what, he's less of a threat right now. We can maybe afford to stay out another lap, because ultimately you do want that final stint to just be as flat out as possible. You don't want to have to worry about conserving. You don't want to worry about having to do anything. You want to just worry about put down fast laps, put down the best driving you can, so that if somebody does come up to you, you put down your best foot. You put your best foot forward, rather than worrying about, oh man, I could battle him if I didn't have to save my tires as much, things like that.
Yeah, I just how much of an advantage are these guys going to end up having over Colin Fern? And as he racks up 2 and 3 seconds per lap on these two leaders, I just don't know if they'll be able to run him down at 1 to 2 seconds per lap like they would have. The tires certainly not, they kind of plateau for sure. These guys running still 131 second laps, and Fern throwing down at 129. So he's still making up 1 to 2 seconds per lap, and he already made up 3 and 4 seconds per lap a number of times. I think he's going to have like a 10 to 15 second lead. And with only 15 laps to go, these guys would have to be beating him by over a second a lap, and I don't know that they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, we'll have to see exactly how this pans out. But like you said, I mean, if it's 3 seconds a lap right now, it's going to be 3 seconds a lap potentially later on, though. We'll have to see exactly how this plays out, this strategy. I think you're right. Colin Fern may have something for these guys right now. The cones are spread out on the racetrack. Somebody hit those as they were trying to rejoin the track. You've got the 87 of Richard Hines and the 44 of Michael Goodman up the road, possibly, who might have started that. But for David Tooker and Tyler Fody, they're getting very close to where I'd say it is time to come down. And, I'm sure they want to be pushing to the end here. And that's kind of my thought process is use up this tank here and absolutely push it to the end. Short fill your fuel tank, fresh tires, qualifying laps to the end. But, man, Colin Fern is fast right now, and he's a threat. He sits just 24 seconds now back from the leader.
Right, and they're going to go on pit road for 40 or so seconds. I mean, they're going to need to be making up 1.5 to 2 seconds per lap on Colin Fern. I can't help but think is both of them get in hard on the carousel that time, and neither of them come to pit road. No, Fody comes to pit road. So Fody has made the move, and I still think this might be too little too late. Colin Fern may have snookered the field with that short pit strategy. He's going to be so far out in front. I just don't know if these guys are going to have the tire to catch him.
Yeah, you may have a point here. We'll see exactly what it looks like for Tyler Fody, and Fody may even be closer to Fern. You know, I'm kind of surprised. You know, obviously, if you're Tyler Fody, you've got that ability to make that decision instantaneously with David Tooker right in front of you. You can see if he stays out, you come in. But yeah, there you go. Easily passed for Colin Fern. Tyler Fody not even rolling off of pit road quite yet.
It's going to be a long time, too. Here comes Fody. Chad was also on pit road that time. So Fody and Chad getting off, but, I mean, they're going to be, wow, they're going to be 10, 12, 14 seconds behind Colin Fern. I think this is just a major call in this race, and it's a major swing, I think, towards this 86 car. He's going to have such a big lead. And this is what happened at Watkins Glen. You know, he got that huge lead based on pit strategy and just never lost it. No one could run him down.
Absolutely. We'll see now. David Tooker must respond on this lap. That has to be his only option. He probably thinks he's sitting here racing Tyler Fody. Has to respond to that 40 car then. But can Tyler Fody make that jump on David Tooker? He's now got an extra lap on those fresh tires, can close down the gap pretty significantly. Though Fody has to deal with a little bit of traffic right now, stuck behind the likes of Rexing and Tate Lytle, both who've not made their way down pit road quite yet.
Yeah, this is bad for Tyler Fody. He's just in a horrible spot. Came off pit road in a bunch of traffic, not able to really put down the tires, the lap times that those tires need to be a good lap. Here comes Colin Fern. This is going to be the pass for the lead. As soon as he crosses pit road right there, he's going to take the lead away from David Tooker, and that's just drive away. David Tooker not off pit road yet, just now finishing his pit stop and exiting pit road. He might not even be ahead of Tyler Fody.
Yeah, we'll see
when it's
here.
all said and done.
I think Tooker might actually get it done here because the Pro Edge Racing teammates of Matthew Weeks and Tate Lytle helped him out for sure and actually extended the gap back. And you see there Tyler Fody, who pitted in, didn't quite have the space on the racetrack to take advantage of those fresh tires. Now falls further back behind David Tooker. And Tooker now with those fresh tires. 6.7 seconds is the gap I'm seeing here to Colin Fern. That's the job that now Tooker has to do, to close that back up with these tires, this tire advantage that he's got.
Now, 6.7 seconds is a lot better than I was thinking. I was kind of calculating in my head 25 seconds or so, and then he'd have 15. But no, I think the gap back to Fern wasn't nearly as big or it was bigger than I thought it was. Thought maybe he was only 25 back. I think maybe he was more like 35 back, because now David Tooker is within striking distance still. 5 seconds is easily make-upable on this road course, and we'll see the lap times now. Fern is running about 1 minute 30 seconds flat, which is still a second faster than Tooker was running on the old tires, but Tooker's about to lay down probably a 27-second lap here, and that would be a pretty substantial gain. I think he would be easily able to run down Colin Fern under that circumstance. And you can see the gap is closing. Fern just now hitting the start-finish line, and now Tooker off that final carousel corner and hits the finish line now. So certainly running him down, and there are no cars between them either.
Yep, Colin Fern versus David Tooker. Here you see the 86, and there at the back of your shot is the number 19 of David Tooker. On that last lap, Tooker came out of the pit road, so not able to get an accurate representation of how their laps compared, but Colin Fern right now running a 30 flat. If we go off of what Fern was running on his fresh tires, David Tooker's probably going to be running around a 28 flat. So, yeah, 2 seconds right now in favor of David Tooker. That'll close down within 2 laps' time.
Yeah, Tooker already reduced the lead to 3.4 seconds on our timing. And this 19 car absolutely on a mission, eating into the lead of the 86. Big battle back here. A lot of guys going for it 3 wide. Matthew Weeks and Tate Lytle have not pitted. Ryan Gavel and Chad Frankenfield have. Those guys on fresh tires. The Pro Edge guys on the older tires. Big gaggle of cars.
Yeah, big battle we've got going on here is, a little bit of a mistake there from Johnny Thomas, who's still a lap down, I should mention. He's just really not been having the race he's been hoping for. And again, this is the guy who was, up until Daytona, our championship leader, and right now really struggling, just kind of almost in the way of this battle, almost loses it here in front of these guys and onto the grass.
He is losing it. He's off the track. There's Johnny Thomas. And, we talked to Johnny last week. He was down on his chances to make it through this first round. He wanted to be able to do it. He's going to do everything he can at Talladega in Texas, but he knew this track was going to be his Achilles heel. Just a very difficult track to drive, and Johnny, not the biggest of road course aces. And we're about to have a battle for the lead, though. David Tooker has made short work of the advantage Colin Fern got by short pitting.
Absolutely, yeah. Here we go. David Tooker with a huge pace advantage. We know how good he is off the corner. I think he's going to have to run down this back straightaway to get the move done in time before the corner. David Tooker tries to take the inside, but Colin Fern aggressively defending to the inside here, but that's not going to be enough. Tooker is inside there. He's going to slide on through, possibly for the move. Fern's not going to make it easy, though.
Yeah, Fern's going to do everything he can here, but I think pace is going to win out at the end. The tires are just too good for that 19 car, and he's got the preferred line on the inside now. Fern really sends it in deep on the outside, but that's just not going to be enough. I think this 19 car is going to come away with the lead here soon.
Side by side through 4-5 corners here, and finally David Tooker clears the 86 car, gets in front, and takes back that lead. The undercut worked for Colin Fern for a little bit, but man, oh man, that pace advantage of those fresh tires is hard to contest with. Colin Fern now has to hang on and hope that Tyler Fode, 3.5 seconds back, doesn't close at the same rate that David Tooker did.
Yeah, and Fern is now in trouble, I think. That was the move. He was hoping he would get maybe a little more gap. And I think that maybe it was that slide through his pit stall that prevented him from having an even larger gap to David Tooker. It may not have mattered. Tooker seems very, very quick right now, really on a rail, running very good lap times, in the low 28s and high 29s. He's gaining seconds per lap on this 86 car, and it's only going to continue to grow. What a big move by David Tooker, and for a guy who was, like we said a couple of times now tonight, not locked into this playoff. In fact, he wasn't in it at all until a teammate pulled out of the playoffs, that David Tooker has been able to take advantage, and now looks to be in the catbird seat to go into Texas as the only driver locked into round 2 of the playoffs.
Yeah, that would be pretty incredible here if that is the case. And here you see Colin Fern trying to get past the 42 car, Vincent Isabella, and not being very, this is an interesting situation here right now, as Isabella just not giving any room at all to Colin Fern and allowing Tyler Fode to slide up on by. Fern's on the grass, and Tyler Fode might slide on through on the inside. He does. Tyler Fode takes over second place as Fern struggles to get past Vincent.
Yeah, I can tell you, Vincent did everything I think he wanted to right there. Vincent and Fern, some bad blood going back a couple of weeks to Daytona. Fern felt like he had been blocked by the 42 car, and Vincent, I checked the onboard, man, there wasn't any problems there. And Vincent returning the favor by actually throwing some blocks and showing him what it's like. I think that's as good as you can do it without, wrecking the guy if you're going to get back at him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, we talked, again, in that pre-chase show, is Colin Fern has made enemies this season, and that certainly doesn't mean anything if he wins his way in through races, but what it does mean is you've got more guys out there that if you're looking for a favor, you got a lot fewer guys who are willing to give you that favor when you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You don't want to be going in to these races with people with chips on their shoulder against you, and you can see how much that cost Colin Fern. It cost him second place and a bunch of ground now, where Chad Frankenfield could also chase him down and pass him potentially. So a very, that's just kind of reaping what you sow there. If you're for the way you're driving, he's earned some wins. He's also earned some bad blood.
Yes, he certainly has. Yeah, Colin Fern, extremely fast, extremely talented driver right there. But yeah, certainly hasn't made a lot of friends here in the Elite Racing Leagues. And we talked about it. He's not here to make friends. He's here to race, and he's certainly been doing a great job at the racing side of things. Here we keep going back to this, or I keep going back to this here. You think it's a battle here between these Pro Edge guys, but I think Tate Lytle right now very happy to stay behind his teammate. Matthew Weeks is the guy who needs those points. Tate Lytle does not. Lytle not running a full season. In this 2021 A season here. So Tate right now just helping out his teammates where he can. Expect to see this 56 car on the racetrack at Talladega as well. with Tate Lettle trying to help his teammates, as well as Ethan Burrell potentially. Both of them trying to make sure that their teammates are able to make it through, as both Josh Clark and Matthew Weeks are going to need some help or may potentially need some help when it comes down to that plate track.
Yeah, the good news is both of them are in the top 10 right now, but with after pit stops, I wonder whether or not Weeks and Lytle will be in the top 10. Jared Rexing and Colin Fern, but Colin Fern has come back down pit road. The 86 car has made a second pit stop now to try and get a little more ground, a little more advantage on those he's running around, and he's not actually going to fall out of the top 10. Big gaps on this racetrack, allowing guys to go in and make a stop. Fern going to see how much he can get with fresh tires with a second pit stop on this longer run.
The trouble for Fern here is that has to be conceding the win right there. I mean, in all fairness, he had already lost that win. What I think it is, it's can he possibly stop or match the slide that he was going to make? He's got 9 laps to get this job done here. He's got to make up a lot of time here to be where he was. Colin Fern was sitting in the 3rd position, may have finished around 4th or so with those tires falling off the way they were. With this chance, he needs to pull off a top 5 here, or that second pit stop might not have been worth it.
The good news for him is the 3 cars in front of him have to pit still. Matthew Weeks, Tate Lytle, Chuck Sweeting all are going to have to come down pit road in the next couple of laps, no matter what. I don't think they can save enough to get out without pitting. So those spots are all free. Fern is now just going to have to see how many seconds he can make back up into Ryan Gavel's 21-second lead on him.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty significant lead to cut down into for Colin Fern, and yeah, that's more like that kind of lead that you were talking about when we thought David Tooker would come off behind Colin Fern. But right now, this is what Fern has to kind of overcome here. He's got a little bit more of an advantage. Ryan Gavel 8 laps into this stint, Colin Fern just 1. But Fern has some traffic to deal with and has that 21-second gap to deal with.
Yep, and we'll have to see when all these guys, a large chunk of the field, including a large chunk of our chasers, have to come down pit road still. We got Josh Clark, Josh Adams, both of them still have to come down pit road. And then I think that's it. Chuck Sweeting as well as Weeks. So 4 of our chasers have yet to hit pit road. Don't want any of these guys to run out of fuel. That would be more disastrous, I think, than anything else they could pull off here. But the 3 Pro Edge guys here, they're going to need to pit here at some point.
With how late this is in the race, I wonder, is it possible to run fuel to the end here, but tires were question marks, and guys were thinking, all right, maybe we'll run that one stop, and maybe the one stop is faster than the no stop, but some guys are making this no stop work all right for them right now, running in the 5th, 6th position, 5th, 6th, 7th position, and then just on the back end of the top 10 here. Could it be possible to make it from lap 15 to lap 50 without putting fuel in the car?
I have no idea. I wouldn't expect so, but stranger things have happened. I just know I wouldn't be making this gamble were I Matthew Weeks or Josh Clark right here. And if we, Chuck Sweeting has made the gamble. He is staying out. He's 30 laps into the run, and if there's anybody who knows to make a gamble, it's Chuck Sweeting and knows the limits on it. Someone just spun out right there. Might have been Richard Hines. Nope, he just got onto the binders entering.
Yep, it seems like that was no issues there for Richard Hines. He is running there just towards the back of the picture here. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be really interesting, I think, as we've got possibly
another one off the track.
Yeah, off the track, Zichandura with just some wheels, left side wheels on the grass there. Seems to be all right though. And he's going to keep on rolling.
Big props to the group of elite racing drivers that have stuck it out and run this race. Michael Goodman talked about how he and the do-good fellows weren't really particularly excited for this race. They're just not a bunch of road course experts over there. And Michael said before the race that he was going to need some grit to get through this one. Well, he's 1 lap down. He's put all the laps together that he possibly could. Looks pretty clean on that race car. Beautiful paint scheme, and Goody looking really strong going forward. I really do like the way that I think that's like a Bubba Wallace level scheme that he's running, and it looks solid behind another Bubba Wallace scheme. So Harrison Talon having a really good day in 13th, though he is another one of those drivers that hasn't pitted throughout this last run.
Yeah, so Harrison Talon trying to possibly make it to the end of this race again. We're running lap 44 here, guys. I mean, it was Johnny Thomas, man, struggling like crazy, but I mean, yeah, lap 40, 44 of this run, 31 laps into this race. You wouldn't be pitting this late, and not this many drivers would be pitting. If this was one driver who made it this far, I'd say, all right, maybe he's trying something. But
Johnny
you're
coming
not
into
gonna,
pit road again.
Man.
Just a tough day for Johnny Thomas, where he's now trying the pit as many times as you need to strategy. This 09 car having a big struggle of a day. Corey Abbott's recovered nicely from a spin earlier in the race to a 15th place run. He is another one that hasn't pitted on this final run and maybe looking to make it to the end.
Yeah, I think there has to be some strategy here that's going to be an option to make it to the end here as Josh Adams tries to defend from Caleb Thompson for the 11th position. I mean, first of all, a massive kudos to the drivers who have stuck it out on this strategy, because to run 30 laps on a set of tires is ridiculous around a racetrack like this, which will eat away at those tires. These cars are inherently terrible on their tires and handling there. So to run this many laps, to be able to keep the car on track for this many laps, it's an impressive feat by all of these guys who are doing this long strategy. And that's the guys on my screen immediately are Matthew Weeks, Tate Lytle, Chuck Sweeting, Joshua Clark, Josh Adams, Caleb Thompson, Harrison Talon, Corey Abbott, and Shane DeMantova.
And Shane maybe has gone off track a couple of times, so strategy not working out quite as well for him as it is for some of these other guys who are on the lead lap and in the top 15. But here comes Colin Fern. He has made it around now. Tate Lytle, he'll be chasing after Matthew Weeks, and he and Weeks do not get along particularly well either. Spinner up at the top there, trying to see who that was. I think it's going to be Zishan again. Zishan's been off track a couple of times today. Another guy just kind of struggling with this setup in this racetrack.
Yeah, Zishan, one of our rookies this season, has been finding his footing here in the Cup Series, just trying to get used to this level of competition, these cars as well. Has been making good progress, though. He's had a couple of good races. Today, though, definitely seems to be struggling a little bit just getting to grips with this race car, but expect to see good things coming from Zishan Dura here. Talented driver, again, needs some reps. There's a lot of really fast guys here in the elite racing leagues. A lot of guys just don't have the same track time as some of the guys who are up here fighting for a championship.
I also think about a guy like Johnny Thomas, who just struggled so much today and has pulled it off and has retired the 09 car in 24th. So Johnny Thomas, Gerald Campbell going to be digging out of that deep hole from Texas and Talladega. I'd look for those guys to be very aggressive the next 2 weeks. Speaking of aggressive, here comes Colin Fern through the carousel on Matthew Weeks. Weeks doesn't put up much of a fight. And we will get going with, I believe, 5 laps to go here.
And it is 5 to go, and for David Tooker, 5.5 seconds now over Tyler Fode. So Fode not able to do anything about the gap that this 19 car had. So really impressive drive right now by David Tooker. Needs to keep it still on the racetrack here. 5 laps can be a long time around these types of racetracks. Tyler Fode hanging on in second, 12 seconds basically ahead of the number 15 car, Chad Frankenfield. And for Chad, I mean, we talked about it. We said I had Chad making it through this first round, and these are the kinds of races you expect to see from Chad Frankenfield, is where he's just there. He's very good at recovering from adversity, whether it's self-inflicted or bad luck or anything like that. Chad Frankenfield always finds his way back inside that top 10, grabs the points when he needs it. This is going to be a well-earned and a very welcome third-place finish here for this 15 car. Could help him advance into that second round, and that second round has Atlanta. Chad Frankenfield, could he make a second appearance to the Final Four in the same number of attempts?
Yeah, this is what I told you back at this is what I told you back when we were thinking about the playoffs is if Chad Frankenfield were to make it through, he's going to make the Final Four, right? Because Atlanta's there, because Homestead's there, and I think Chad's very strong at both of those tracks. You got to wonder, Chad's got to take advantage of this track today. Third place, check mark on that. But now David Tooker's locked in to that upcoming round. That's just another spot that Chad's going to have to make up. And Talladega, not his best track. He just tends to get unlucky, I think, and get caught up in wrecks. And so it's going to be all about, can Chad handle Texas, and can Chad come back from that adversity when it strikes at Talladega?
Absolutely. And how about Ryan Gavel, a guy that, I think we talked about him last year, and it's been an interesting progression for Ryan Gavel, where he was exceptional on road courses, like really almost untouchable to a certain level on the road courses, especially these, undulating natural terrain road courses. but kind of struggled everywhere else. This season, it's been the opposite, where he's been very strong at all different types of racetracks, but hasn't really been a runaway amazing driver at any one of that. And that kind of seems like he's almost split that kind of talent or split that investment into a lot of different disciplines, which is great for Ryan Gavel. It led him to being third in that regular season championship, third or fourth, actually, I believe. But what it means is that he's right now hurting for a win a little bit, when I think if we were looking at last year Ryan Gavel, we'd be saying, oh man, Ryan Gavel is a lock-in to win this race here, assuming, Anders Krohn or R.C. Anderson doesn't show up.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that, that Ryan Gavel hasn't ended up in a victory lane at least once this season. I really felt like he was going to come out and really show us what was up. Joining Lake Norman seemed like a really good blend of the speed and attitude. Ryan Gavel fits in really nicely over there. Those guys love him. It's a matter now of why hasn't he won yet, and will he win one of these races coming up? And I think we'd be foolish to bet against it. Gavel is certainly capable of winning any given week.
Absolutely.
Might have even had, now that I think about it, might have even had Martinsville locked up had he and Damian Leininger not gotten together on one of those restarts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been, Gavel was impressively consistent at the start of the season. Definitely got unlucky, I think, towards the middle half and towards the end there of the regular season. And right now, I think we kind of talked about a little bit when we had him with us on the Chase preview show, but the momentum is not in Ryan Gavel's favor, but he is coming in with such that huge points buffer that he gathered through the early rounds of the season. He just needs to find the momentum and get it moving back in his direction. This will certainly help a top 5 finish here today if he can hang on to it, as that car is looking fairly loose underneath him. But, Ryan Gavel, we're expecting, this is his sophomore season here in the Cup Series. There's the expectation at Lake Norman Motorsports as well to, if you're fighting for a championship, you should be putting that car in victory lane, no matter who you are. And he's struggling a little bit right now with those tires, you can definitely tell. But Ryan Gavel, been a factor at every racetrack, still searching for victory lane, though.
A little bit shocking, but I look back through this top 10, and the battle right now is for 10th. It's Josh Adams and Josh Clark battling it out right now, and I was just going to call that Josh Clark was doing a really fantastic job. Josh Adams getting back into the top 10 as our points leader. That's a huge move for him. He was really not excited about coming here. We think back to his interview last at Daytona when he won the race. I don't think he was able to join us, but he did say he did not think he was going to be particularly good here. Josh Robin and with Josh Clark as well. So the 3 Joshes, all 10th, 11th, 12th. Caleb Thompson, Harrison Talent, a big gaggle of lead lap cars right here. And I think everyone is just about on the same tires, though. I think Josh Robin is the one with newest tires. And neither of us picked Josh Robin to get through the round, but he's got fresh tires and 2 full laps to get the 2 guys in front of him who are on 36-lap-old tires.
I was going to say, we've got Elite Racing's own version of the Battle of the Joshes here. Only one may emerge from this round of the chase here. All 3 of them in this chase fighting for a championship here. Josh Adams, Josh Clark, and Josh Robin. As David Tooker takes the white flag a little bit further back from these guys, about to lap all the way up to top 10, kind of where David Tooker's been. That has been the level of dominance from this 19 car. But right now it is Adams over Clark over Robin. But Robin looking aggressive, trying to see if he can make a move to get by Clark. Every point's going to matter for these guys. And here we go. Josh Robin around the outside. Is he going to make the corner?
Into the grass.
No, he's not.
He squanders the advantage, does Josh Robin. Don't go on track too quick. Oh, he's going to lose out to Harrison Talent and maybe Caleb Thompson as well. A couple of valuable points for Josh Robin. He might have thrown away. He does still have that fresh tire advantage, but I don't think he'll be getting back up to the battle between Adams and Clark for that top 10.
No, he won't, and that means it's going to be between Adams and Clark. But right now it is David Tooker who's heading through those S's just a little bit behind these drivers here. A couple more corners to go, and I mean, what a season it has been for David Tooker. Like you said there, from just a couple of weeks ago to being knocked out of the chase there at Daytona to then getting in because Ethan Burrell gave him that spot. David Tooker, best finish so far this season was second at Auto Club Raceway, but he's going to round the carousel, the final corner here at Mid-Ohio Sportscar Course. What a drive by David Tooker here. He's going to grab the victory and lock himself into round number 2 of the Elite Racing Cup Series chase. What a drive.
Wow, and To quickly correct one thing you said there, Ethan Burrell didn't give Tooker specifically
Well-
the spot. He gave up his spot in the round for whoever was next out, which happened to be Tooker. Ethan was going to give it up whether it was Tooker or somebody else, and I don't know. It made it seem like it was like super favoritism. I don't think it was there.
No, certainly not. I believe it was Ethan Burrell couldn't make all the races. Ooh, here we go. Tate Lytle doing no favors for his teammate there.
Trying to put on a good show to the end here. I don't think Tate was ever going to make this pass. Matthew Weeks going to take home a 6th place run, and if we had a chance to interview Matthew Weeks, he would have told you that was exactly what he wanted, exactly what the doctor ordered, a 6th place run at a road course. Final battle here for that last spot in the top 10. Josh Clark and Josh Adams. Robin 12th. He's not going to be able to get back up to these guys. He did get back around Harrison Talon there, and with the road course and so much time between lap times, a lot of battles here right at the end. Can Clark get Adams for that final top 10 spot?
Here we go. This is going to be his last-ditch effort. Clark's going to stick his nose in there. Not quite going to get there. He's going to put the bumper, though, to this 95 car around the final corner. What can Josh Clark
Drag race.
do?
Oh, no, they
there.
can't
Josh
do it.
Robin even slides it in. It's going to be Adams over Clark over Robbins across the line here. What a great battle there of the Joshes there for a top 10 finish. But it's still David Tooker's day up front with the victory. What a drive there, and what a great battle. All throughout the field, I think some great racing here from these guys. A little bit of a longer race there possibly, but still some great battling. These cars race very well on these types of tracks, but they can certainly be a bit of a handful to drive, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was a fun battle. I really liked seeing that. I do love when guys are gonna run in and try to make those passes, but Josh Clark didn't dump Josh Adams. They ran really good together, and that was a fun little battle there. And Josh Robin almost made it all back up in 2 laps after going off course.
I was gonna say, yeah, Josh Robin with an impressive run there, and here you go, some congratulations from Shane DeMantova. Looks like Matthew Weeks might come here to help his teammates celebrate a little bit, give a little bit of congratulations. Vincent Isabella as well with some congratulations there for David Tooker as well. So lots of people happy to see this 19 car advancing. Obviously that means that one less guy who was inside is now going to be looking out as Tooker locks his way in. He was down the 12th or 11th seed or so heading into this chase.
Yeah, Tooker, I think he was last because he was all the way out, and then you look at guys like Ryan Gavel, we're in the mids. They're going to be okay, but someone like Josh Adams, 10th is not a bad result at all, but he's going to have much less of a cushion, I think, going forward. And the 2 guys who are really devastated by this race, Johnny Thomas, Gerald Campbell, those guys are all the way out now, I think, without question.
All right, so let's see your results now from the Safe Antifreeze and Coolant Mid-Ohio Challenge. It's David Tooker who is dominant to victory there. Had some challenge from Colin Fern early in the race, but I think once Colin committed to that 2-stop, it was, or even to that undercut really, as the race was over at that point. Tyler Fode does a good job to finish in the 2nd position, and Chad Frankenfield rounds out your podium positions there. Ryan Gavel gets himself back into the top 5 points positions, or gets himself back into the top 5 positions here after a rough run of things recently, and Colin Fern with 5th position on a 2-stop strategy.
Yeah, let's try to bring Tyler Fode in here and get 2nd place interview done. So Tyler Fode, good run today, finished at 2nd, but maybe 1 spot off of where you really wanted to be.
Yeah, it was a really fun road course race, barring everything that happened there. I'm sure we kept it exciting for y'all. That first little 10-lap run and into the 2nd run with Fern and me and Tooker was really awesome. And then it was just a case of deciding when to pit, who was going to pit first. And I don't know if y'all caught it or not on the broadcast, but Goodman decided to take me out through the pits. So I don't know if I would have had anything for Tooker. It seemed like he had 5 seconds on me that last run after the pit stops, and it didn't really go any higher. So we were pretty equal, which is what I was figuring. I was trying to undercut him. But yeah, just unfortunate timing there with Goodman, and we lost it there really. But heck of a drive from Tooker, and I'm proud with this P2 result. I'll take it.
Yeah, Tyler, I mean, you've been just generally good at all the racetracks we go to. This just kind of adds to that, being strong here on this natural terrain road course. And Now you head into Texas, you head into Talladega, obviously in 2 weeks' time. What does this do for you in terms of helping your mindset, trying to make sure that you're relatively in the clear here before you get to Talladega and things get a little bit up in the air in terms of what may happen there?
That's the whole plan, really, is to not be stressing going into Dega. And I know it's Legacy, Texas, so I don't know how familiar most of these guys are with that, or if anyone is really with this new car. So it'll be interesting. We're just going to set the same goal, really, though, just to try and be top 5 at least. And I think with that, we should be okay going into Dega.
Yeah, Tyler, take us maybe a little bit through how your season has gone real quick here. And then, when it comes to how you've run in the Xfinity Series, where you've been just so dominant, has that really helped you improve your results as you've gone through this Cup Series season?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been driving pretty much the same. It's just came down to luck, really. I mean, last season I think I won the regular season in Cup by like 80 points, just doing what I've been doing in Xfinity this season. Just unfortunate that the way this season started out in Cup, at least, we were just caught up in stuff and in the wrong place at the wrong time. But it seems to have gotten a little better as far as the luck goes the last few weeks before the playoffs, and we've just been trying to ride that into the playoffs here, and I think we'll be all right as long as we keep it up.
All right, Tyler, before we let you go here, I want to give you a chance to make some shout-outs on the air.
Yeah, the Lake Norman guys there. Gavel was hanging tough early on, and I think he managed, I think maybe a 4th or so. Got a top 5 at least, so that's always good to see. And shout out to Hank, too, for keeping all the fenders on it. I know he was struggling out there. Shout out to Blue Egg Marketing and Days Gone By for being the sponsors. Check them out. And thanks to you guys also for putting on this broadcast. I always do love watching the Cup races back.
Yes, sir. All right. Congratulations again, P2 there. And hoping to advance to that second round of the chase. Good job, Tyler Fody.
Yep, thank you.
And now we'll bring up our race winner, David Tooker. And David, congratulations on your race win. And how'd you manage to hold off those guys? And were you maybe like holding back a little bit before you really let it loose there in that second run?
You know, David, that was definitely a hard race for sure. I was definitely going full bore at every moment during that race. I knew I had the pace on the long run. With that stage break halfway through, that kind of ruined my plans. But it's just a great race overall by everybody in the top 3. I know those guys didn't get quite the results they were looking for, but that doesn't go away without the good racing in the beginning of the race with Colin and Tyler Fody. So I'm just really thankful for those guys for racing me clean the way they did and being able to come out with a win out of it.
David, talk us through just these past couple of weeks here, from being knocked out of the chase at Daytona to being back into it, and then now being the first guy locked into the next round. I mean, what a turnaround it's been for you, and it's come from a lot of hard work for sure. Yeah,
it's crazy to think about it, to know that I was out a couple weeks ago, but this goes to Ethan Burrell and all those and his family. I know Ethan sacrificed his chase spot for me, considering he wasn't going to make the upcoming races. So without him, I wouldn't be in this situation. And to say that I had his name on my back there, trying to bring it home for a win is an understatement. But just big thank you to him and everybody at our team. And just like, I'm trying not to be emotional here, but it's been a lot of hard work. I know I haven't really had the results that I feel like I could get this season, and just a lot of bad luck, but that all goes away tonight. So I'm very thankful to be in the position I'm in right now.
Yeah, that for sure. That's really awesome, Tooker. And I know you were upset last week, but it seems like, the time and the win seems to have cooled things. How do you approach that next round? I know we didn't get to talk to you last week, but when you go to New Hampshire, Atlanta, and Homestead, you got a chance. If you win one of those races or point really well, you're going to be running for a championship. So, how do you approach those going forward?
I think with this win, that definitely takes off the pressure of these next 2 races in this round. But as soon as that's over, the pressure's back on, and we have to keep pulling in results and keep performing the way we are performing, like we did today. So, and I'm looking pretty good at those tracks. I feel like I've definitely got the speed, especially at the ovals these last few seasons. I've definitely picked it up. So I don't think I'll be in the shot to win, but I'm hoping for maybe a top 10, top 5 run there, and really just take what I can get and moving forward.
All right, man. I know you made a couple earlier on, but gonna give you one more chance here to make some shout outs here on the air while we got you.
Yeah, just this whole Pro Edge team. I know I say it every interview, but these guys put in a lot of work, especially at places like this. I know Weeks was hollering at me trying to get some pointers to run this place, and I was able to get him some knowledge. And it goes to show that even though we're teammates, we're pushing ourselves every single week, trying to beat one another. And I think that's the best combination you can have for a race team. And obviously everybody at home watching, all the fans of Pro Edge, and really just the fans of everybody in Elite. Really, you guys make a lot of what we do possible, and the opportunities we get with all the drivers all coming in here. Like, for instance, I could name a few: RC Enerson, James Davison, all those guys. So I want to thank the fans, and I also want to wish Rachel happy birthday. I know you're probably watching this. If you're not, then oh well. But just know I said happy birthday. But and also just everybody behind the scenes at Elite. They put in a lot of work that people don't really get to see, and couldn't be thankful enough for that. And also you guys for doing what you do up in the booth and making this a great show for everybody watching and putting our skills across the world, really. So I want to thank you guys for that as well.
All right. Thanks a lot, David, and congratulations on the win, buddy. Go celebrate with your teammates here, and have a good one.
Thank you, boys.
Right. That was David Tooker. And now we'll bring up third place Chad Frankenfield to the broadcasting room. And Chad, congratulations on the third place run. Really set you up nicely for the chase moving forward. I think the points are up now, and I think you're 5 to the good. So in a better position than you started the race for sure.
Nope. Chad Frankfield, do we have a copy?
Chad, you there? Your mic might be muted, bud. You got him muted?
Hello.
Oh,
there he is.
There we go.
Oh, sorry, my Discord's acting weird. I think I'm actually 11 to the good, so even better.
There it is. Yeah. Yes, you're correct.
Yeah.
The last guy.
Yeah, I mean it was a fun race. I don't know. I mean, over the course of the last couple seasons, I've really tried to work on the long run. On these road courses where you're using first gear a lot, I struggle big time. So that's why I typically don't put up the big qualifying laps. But over the long run, the cars tend to come to me a little bit better. So yeah, I mean, I was happy with the night. It was obviously a good result for the chase.
Yeah, Chad, I mean, talk us through, a night like today where it's just getting those good points. Like you said, solid third place finish here, looking to try and do the same in Texas so that hopefully, Talladega maybe, if things go south, you have a bit of a buffer and making sure you advance into that second round, because we talked to you about it, last week. That second round really has a lot of tracks that seem to favor you and places that we expect to see you strong at. It gives you a great shot at trying to get your way into the championship before. It's surviving this first round that seems to be the real big question mark for you right now.
Yeah, I mean, I expect to be competitive at Texas. The mile and a half seem to be pretty solid. But I think going into Talladega, you want at least 15, 20 points to feel comfortable. We'll get back to probably close to a 40-car field next week because everybody wants to run Dega. So, it's going to be about setting ourselves up for Talladega, doing what we need to do next week. I expect next week it's a long race, 250 miles. It's going to be a green flag racing, so it's going to come down to strategy again. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to just going week to week.
Yeah, Chad. Thinking ahead, Atlanta lies in that second round. If you can make it there, do you like your chances once we go back to Atlanta again?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a track that I feel confident at. But everybody in the league is just so competitive, and Atlanta's, it's a little different now with the grip strip. I don't really think it affects Atlanta much, but it's there, so it's something to definitely think about. But again, I'm kind of just going week to week with it. I think that's how I was successful last season, and just approach each race one at a time and just get there. Every point is going to matter. The championship fight it's gonna be really tight for everybody. So, sorry. Every point that I could get, is gonna be important moving forward. I just want to say congrats to Tucker. That was a heck of a drive tonight. After I think it was Charlotte, I think he got into it with a lap car late, and it kind of took a win away from him. So for him to get a little bit of redemption, I think is neat to see.
All right, Chad. Well, before we let you go here, we want to give you a chance to make some shout-outs on the air here to any sponsors or anything like that.
Yeah, I want to thank myraceparts.com, Rich Mar Florist, Days Gone By Vintage Apparel. I also want to give a shout-out to you guys in the booth. Shout out to everybody for tuning in. This Friday, the Rich Mar Florist Indianapolis 500, our marquee event. Kyle Busch, Stephen Wilson, Sedge, Karam, Anders Crone, some of the best sim racers on here going to be battling out Friday. So I know Rich, you're going to be there, so it's going to be an exciting one. We're Rob Howden's going to be in the booth. We're actually working on potentially having Kevin Lee there as well. So it's going to be really awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. But again, thank you guys for sticking it out tonight. I know at least the battle up front seemed to be interesting for most of the race there.
Yes, sir, absolutely. And once again, congratulations on that top 3 finish.
Thank you.
All right, that was Chad Frankenfield, our third place finisher there, and we do have the point standings for you. And as we expected, the two guys who take the biggest hit are Gerald Campbell and Johnny Thomas. They are now, I believe, 14 points, 15 and 14 points out of the playoff here. So big gaps to make up for Johnny Thomas, Gerald Campbell in the next 2 races.
Yeah, and I mean, those are two guys that you would have expected to see up the order, after that regular season. So big hits, like you said, we saw that coming today, and that's what this chase is all about. It's being able to perform on every single, race weekend or race night that we've got here. And tonight, those two drivers weren't quite able to get the job done. They have 2 other chances now to win their way in or build up a points gap again. But yeah, they may be reliant on Talladega to get those results in.
Yep, that's gonna make things real difficult. I think Johnny and Gerald are gonna have to be really aggressive. Also out currently are Hank Steinmiller, Josh Clark, and Jared Rexing, which means Josh Robin, Chuck Sweeting still including all the rest of the guys who ran up in the top 5 today. So it's going to be still a close battle. I think everyone is within 14 points of that transfer spot at 9th, aside from Josh Adams, who is plus 23. So everyone is either 14 up or 14 back, and that is a very narrow gap, all things considered.
Absolutely, extremely narrow there, and yeah, for Josh Adams, did all he needed to do today to maintain a pretty sizable gap there to the bubble, to that cutoff point. Josh Adams right now, the only guy who's kind of been running away a little bit with this season, like you said. The rest of them are pretty tight in the standings. with that, then we're gonna probably call it a night here from myself, Rishav Khosla, and David Westergreen. This has been the Safe Antifreeze and Coolant Mid-Ohio Challenge. We've been at the Mid-Ohio Sportscar Course, and David Tooker, one of our road course specialists here, really, absolutely waxed the field really there, especially in that second half of the race. Once he got that second set of tires on that car, that 19 car was untouchable. Locks himself into round number 2 of the chase. To try and get himself into the championship 4 eventually. But we've still got Legacy, Texas next Wednesday, and then Talladega the following week. And make sure you guys are subscribed and tuned in to the Elite Racing Network for this Friday when we got the Indy 500. David, any parting thoughts?
Nope. Y'all better be there on Friday for the Indy 500, and then next weekend we got Texas Legacy. So it's not that new Texas. It's at least one of the ones where there might be some passing. So hopefully we can get in another couple of good races here in the Talladega 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. All right, then. From myself, Rishav Khosla, and David Westergreen up here in the Elite Racing Network booth, thank you all so much for watching once again, and we'll see you all next week.